Osmoregulation is the process of the body regulating the amount of water that it contains. This is to ensure that the solute concentration within the blood stays within its tolerance range, and this is mainly done through the control of how much water the kidneys reabsorb and how much water the kidneys allow to pass out of the body through urine. So if we have a look at the structure of the kidneys just briefly first, what I've got pictured here is part of the kidney and a couple of nephrons. So this structure here is considered a nephron. And the idea of the nephron is blood will be transported through, moved through the kidneys, and the nephron contains a number of different parts. Might just change pen color. The nephron contains a number of different parts, but most importantly contains these things called tubules. So all of this purple and this big long bit down here back up to the red we call the tubule, and you can see these nephrons feed into this larger tubule which sort of runs down and off our diagram there. So what's going to occur is blood is filtered. Blood travels through the nephrons, and we get water being filtered out of the blood and into the tubule, and then it will pass through that tubule and eventually leave the body as urine. But the body has control over how much of that water is allowed to continue through the tubule and out as urine, or how much of that water is actually reabsorbed, so brought back from the tubule, back into the bloodstream and recirculated around the body. So all of the water, the vast majority of the water comes out into the tubule in the nephron, but then most of it will be taken back into the bloodstream, because otherwise we're highly dehydrated, we won't have enough water in our system. So the body has some control over this and is able to have an impact on the reabsorption of water back into the bloodstream. So the reabsorption in the nephron of water back into the bloodstream. So reabsorption in the nephron is affected by three sort of key factors. So the amount of water reabsorbed in the nephron will be affected by blood volume, so how much blood we have in our body overall. Water will add to the total blood room, add to the total volume. Also the blood pressure, and finally the blood solute concentration. So if solute concentration is really high in the blood, the body is going to be less inclined to allow water to pass through the kidney and then out via the urine. So how does the body control whether water is leaving as urine or being reabsorbed back into the blood in the nephrons within the kidney? So it's to do this process called osmoregulation. So we can say that osmoregulation is the control of water, so water level, search a better term, control of water level in the body. We're going to look at one main way, one key way that the body controls the amount of water which it obtains or releases from itself. So the main thing that we're going to focus on is something called antidiuretic hormone. To make life easier, we'll refer to it as ADH for short. So ADH is a key hormone involved in osmoregulation. So if we were to put this into a bit of a cycle of how ADH is able to affect the amount of water in the body, it would look something like this. So conditions that are going to lead to the body wanting to retain water, wanting water to reabsorb out of the tubule in the nephron of the kidney and back into the blood and keep circling around, is if we have low blood volume, if we have low blood pressure, and also if we have high solute concentration. So if you think about if someone has just ingested some really salty food or something and added a lot of solute to their bloodstream, or if someone has been cut and is losing a lot of blood, these are going to affect the solute concentration in the blood and blood pressure and overall volume, things like that. So if we had low blood volume, low blood pressure and a high solute concentration, then the body's going to want to retain water. So these factors, these conditions are going to be detected by something called osmoreceptors in the brain, and then this is going to lead to an increase in ADH. So the hypothalamus is going to secrete or release ADH and store it in the pituitary gland before it's going to be sent out into the body. So we get this increase in ADH, which will lead to the nephrons wanting to reabsorb more water back into the blood. So if the nephrons are reabsorbing more water back into the blood, then we will see the result being an increase in blood volume. It would be an increase in blood pressure, and then a decrease in solute concentration. So that's a little bit about the function of the kidneys, and also how ADH, antidiuretic hormone, can be used to control the amount of water that is expelled from the body or reabsorbed in the blood, and the overall process that is osmoregulation.